Ellen's trying to make a comeback with her new stand-up special, although its reviews have mostly been terrible. She spends most of the special responding to her being kicked out of showbiz, which began when someone posted just one single tweet. Right now, we all need a little kindness, you know, like Ellen Degeneres always talks about. She's also notoriously one of the meanest people alive. Respond to this with the most insane stories you've heard about Ellen being mean. The tweet, posted in March 2020, received bad enough replies to begin Ellen's downfall. I worked at Real Food Daily, served her and Portia a brunch. She wrote a letter to the owner and complained about my chipped nail polish, not that it was on her plate, but just that it was on my hand. I worked till closing the night before, and this was the next morn. Almost got me fired. The nail polish story was so unbelievable, the person who wrote it went on Inside Edition.
This former waitress claims she was threatened with a 2-week suspension after Ellen DeGeneres complained about, of all things, her chipped fingernail polish.
I remember just being like, really?
But the stories shared back on Twitter were only getting worse. I once worked at Warner Brothers. One day I was in the elevator and Ellen and her entourage came in. Naturally, I held it for her and asked her what floor she was getting on. Her assistant answered 3rd floor. 30 minutes later, I got a call from my boss saying I was fired because I was harassing her. An old friend worked on her a lot and smiled and said good afternoon to her one day, and she became unhinged. Who do you think you are? You don't look at me, yada yada. She said Portia was with her and seemed embarrassed and tried to calm her down. Has forever changed my opinion of her. The responses went on and on and on, all of which being compared to Ellen's classic catchphrase.
I always end each show by saying be kind to one another.
Audience member Dana DiMatteo then went public with her degrading experience on the show.
They tell you, you can't be smarter, funnier than Ellen. She's the comedian and the star, not you.
Don't be funnier than Ellen. That's gonna be hard considering she's not that funny to begin with. If you've been a comedian your whole life and you're afraid a random audience member will upstage you, maybe you're just not funny. Dana then revealed that Ellen's completely different when the cameras turn off.
How does the Ellen we see on TV compare to the Ellen you saw when the cameras stopped rolling?
Totally different. She would only speak to the audience when the cameras were rolling. As soon as they turned the cameras off, she would not even acknowledge the audience. She would just sit on the couch, basically.
Which was supported by Hedda Muscat, one of the show's former producers.
Toxic, phony, hypocrite, liar. That's what she is.
She agreed that things were different when the cameras weren't rolling.
We were told from the very beginning, don't talk to Ellen, don't do this, you can't go into her office. It was very nerve-wracking, very stressful. We all walked on eggshells all the time.
And after the show's DJ also said the same, BuzzFeed launched their own investigation, interviewing a further 11 former employees. They were fired after taking medical leave or bereavement days to attend family funerals. One employee, who claimed she was fed up with comments about her race, essentially walked off the job. Others said they were also instructed by their direct managers to not speak to Degeneres if they saw her around the office. After the accusations went viral, Ellen issued a statement within the company. Hey everybody, it's Ellen. On day 1 of our show, I told everyone in our first meeting that the Ellen DeGeneres show would be a place of happiness. No one would ever raise their voice, and everyone would be treated with respect. Obviously something changed, and I'm disappointed to learn that this has not been the case. And for that, I'm sorry. Anyone who knows me knows it's the opposite of what I believed and what I hoped for our show, yet Ellen's former producer certainly didn't buy it.
So when Ellen says she's not aware of this environment, you don't think that rings true?
It's a lie.
Ellen then took a 2-month break and began a brand new season by addressing the public.
As you may have heard, this summer there were allegations of a toxic work environment at our show. I learned that things happened here that never should have happened. I take that very seriously, and I want to say I am so sorry to the people who were affected. We have made the necessary changes, and today we are starting a new chapter.
She'd then make the promise,
and I am committed to making this the best season that we have ever had.
Although the ratings said the opposite, because only 6 months later the New York Times published Ellen DeGeneres loses 1 million viewers after apologies for toxic workplace. It explained that Ellen had been averaging 1.5 million viewers over the last 6 months, down from 2.6 million in the same period last year. The show's loss of more than 1 million viewers translates to a 43% decline decline, representing a steeper drop than any of its competitors. As a result, Ellen made the announcement,
I am announcing that next season, season 19, is going to be my last season.
Adding in The Hollywood Reporter, as great as this show is, and as fun as it is, it's just not a challenge anymore. I need something new to challenge me, with her being exposed also clearly having an impact. She'd state the expose destroyed me, honestly. I'd be lying if I said it didn't. And it makes me really sad that there's so much joy out there from negativity. It's a culture now where there are just mean people, and it's so foreign to me that people get joy out of that. These mean people responded stating, even without the controversy, the show hasn't been fun and genuine for years. It may have never been, but at least it seemed like it. But Ellen is tired of it all, and she's lousy at hiding it now. No more dancing by her, no monologue half the time, bad jokes that are dragged out way too long, tons of old show clips, tons of self-promotion, and a guest host every Friday. These elements led to an average final season, which Ellen concluded by crying with her audience. She then mentioned the possibility of returning to acting, but instead made a documentary titled Saving the Gorillas: Ellen's Next Adventure. It released in 2023, but with only 100 reviews on IMDb, and this likely being the first time you've heard of it, it's safe to say it performed pretty poorly. Ellen rather went back to living a quiet life until April 2024, when she'd make a new announcement. You may have heard that I'm doing stand-up again. If you wanna come see me, I'll be sharing some news tomorrow at noon. As suggested, she'd announce a stand-up tour to be recorded and posted by Netflix, also adding, yes, I'm going to talk about it, referring to her being cancelled. Titled For Your Approval, the special begins with Ellen walking up a flight of stairs, each referencing a headline that ruined her reputation. She acknowledges the tweet that started her downfall, as well as the employees who spoke out against her, then begins the actual show with a joke about her fall from grace.
You know, I used to say that I didn't care what other people thought of me, and I realize now, looking back, I said that at the height of my popularity. I'm here because I love doing stand-up, I miss doing stand-up, and I like making people happy, and I do care what people think.
Now, this is a pretty respectable angle, as it feels extremely honest. Yet it also seems like a sneaky request for pity, which as a high-profile celebrity you'll simply never get. She then talks about what she's been up to.
All right, well, let me catch up on what's been going on with me since you saw me last. Oh yeah, I got kicked out of show business.
Then makes some pretty funny jokes about her new reputation.
Everybody heard that I was mean. Everywhere I go, I know everyone's heard that I'm mean. I know when I walk into a restaurant, people are watching, waiting to see if I'll be mean. Oh, look, she's reaching for butter. I thought she was gonna hit somebody.
On the contrary, there are some pretty out-of-touch segments. For example, her joking about her car features, which you'd clearly only find in a luxury vehicle.
Then there's that button that inflates the back of the seat, you know, the one that makes you feel like you're getting spooned by a pregnant woman.
She also makes this out-of-touch joke.
We're all interested in different things, we're all good at different things. I was talking to someone the other day and they said, Ellen, I don't know how you get on stage in front of people, I could never do that. And I said, well, I don't know how you dry clean clothes.
But as an overall, the special isn't terrible. Its audience rating of 5.4 stars feels fairly accurate, although as you might expect, simply because it's Ellen, the articles written about it have been pretty brutal. Ellen DeGeneres' unfunny Netflix special leaves so much unsaid. Ellen DeGeneres lets herself off the hook in self-indulgent Netflix special. Ellen DeGeneres is unapologetic, unrelatable, and totally insufferable in her new Netflix special. They'd write, the problem with For Your Approval, aside from the fact that it's almost never funny, is that it feels so disingenuous, so calculated to rehabilitate an image and preserve that triumph for prosperity. Another article stated it's one of the weirdest stand-up shows in recent memory. Half observational punchlines, half closing argument in a trial, featuring DeGeneres as her own defense attorney. Neither half works on its own. Taken as a whole, it's an exhausting mess. They'd also add self-awareness is different from taking responsibility responsibility. Degeneres offers no apologies or even explanations for her behavior, yet in other more favorable reviews, unapologetic was used as a positive. I like the fact that she's rather unapologetic. It's highly refreshing and honest. This extreme divide can be seen by the audience reviews on Google. There's almost an equal amount of 1 and 5-star ratings, a sad representation of the black and white thinking that plagues the internet so heavily today.